The illustrious Jabba bids you welcome. I'm going to regret this.
I'm Pete Mitchell. He's Peyton Jones. And this is the Church Planter Podcast, brought to you by Church Planter Magazine. Hey, Church Planter, this is Pete Mitchell.
And this is Peyton Jones.
My what? What were we talking about?
Were you going to say it? I don't remember.
Were you going to say it?
No, but I was thinking it.
It's so funny. Oh, for those of you that have no idea what we're talking about, which would be 100% of you, there's a good reason for that. We were having a little conversation before the podcast. A little pre-show.
We were a little pre-show conversation, which we are not live streaming today because I did an interview with a couple guys that have this rad tool. And
tools? Their tools? What?
They have an amazing tool. It's called Focus Planner. And anyways, it's not Michael Hyatt, but we can't touch him yet. One day Michael Hyatt will work for us, dang it. But until then, I talk to these guys about a tool and you'll like it. It's on later. But for now, Smack Talk.
They're tools.
That's I did not say that. You know, I've already talked to him and it was a great conversation. So I can't even reference that. This is weird. It's like a time warp. I just did the interview with him.
So
and now we're doing Smack Talk.
When we're done with Smack Talk, you get the interview.
And you get the commercial because I didn't do that with them. It didn't feel right.
What?
I felt like it's not right for me to say, hey guys, while you're building all these cool tools for planners, you know, you don't have time. And, you know, I knew they wouldn't go, what? You know, they couldn't do our bit, man. That's our bit.
I just realized that my virtual background on Zoom needs to be hell with like a demon in the background.
Oh, dude, I added some new ones.
Did you? Well, yeah.
Yeah, I went to Star Wars Land, and that's what I'm talking about today. I went to, excuse me, colds are running in the Jones house.
I had a heart attack this big, and I gave myself one of these, clear, and I'm all good.
My wife sounds like Barry White right now.
Okay.
She's got that husky voice, right on. And Eden, poor thing, has just been, you know, that girl has 3 lungs. So she's struggling. And I say that kind of laughingly, but she does. She has like a mini lung next to one of her lungs.
Is that like a spare, you know? Like
she got a spare lung, dude.
Can she swim underwater for like 15, 20 minutes?
Well, funny enough, because it kind of floats up above, what happened was when she got that RSV virus years ago?
Wait, when she got COVID, when she got the vaccine for COVID, what happened to her? She mutated?
No, she got the RSV virus.
This is how vampires come about. It's always the vaccine.
I know. Hey, V for Vendetta, man. That movie's an eye-opener if you watch that today.
I did. I rewatched it like a month ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But do you remember the one with Will Smith, where it's the vampires, a post-apocalyptic world?
Yeah. I Am Legend.
The vampires there came because of a vaccine.
Yes, they did. Yes. That movie is amazing. I have used that movie for the gospel. I don't know how many times.
Nice.
Yeah, it's got, it's got, have we been over this? Have we talked about this? How it's got all the, the opening right after they give the interview with Emma Thompson. And then it goes to, and she goes, yes, I'm saying we have cured cancer. And then it shows a desolate cityscape. And as it pans, you see a poster that says, God has not abandoned us. And then as the movie goes on, before his kids die in the helicopter, ironically, his daughter looks at him and says, look, a butterfly outside of his window. And she goes on the helicopter and she says, Daddy, teacher says, when there's a butterfly, it means that God is with us. And so at the very end of the film, spoiler alert.
There's no butterflies around me ever. What does that say?
says I don't know. But what I was going to say is that you
said the butterfly at the end of the movie.
Yeah, at the end of the movie when he's in the lab and the zombies are trying to get to him and he has the blood.
I can save you. I can save you.
Yeah, and he's holding up the blood saying, I can save you. I can save you. It's right here. And he's holding up the blood as they burst through, right before they're bursting through, the
crack is a butterfly.
Of the crack is a butterfly. And it's very subtle, like you kind of don't get it, but there's a gospel theme in there. The blood can save all of humanity. He sacrifices himself to save everyone else, right? Like it's all there, and that butterfly was him going, okay, God is here and God is with us and he does have a plan. So the amount of times, but you miss it because it's such a just good zombie flick. You know what I'm saying?
But he killed his dog. So yeah. I'm just saying he's no Jesus. I'm just pointing that out. You can't kill your dog. Quit reading your phone. Pay attention to our podcast.
Wait, the wife's saying something about date nights canceled. I'm not good with that. Jonesy needs to go out.
Welcome
and get
to the rest
tacos.
Of us.
Dude, I've been eating clean for 3 weeks, baby. 3 weeks. I got the diet thing down, and I'm starting to work out. Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah. Mental fog is cleared. After the textbook, man, my brain was just mentally, I've not been okay.
Imagine if you had wrote that book, but you had been eating clean.
I know. I remember saying to you at one point, man, I'm chained to my desk. I'm just eating whatever in the heck I want. And I'll never forget your response. You said, that sounds terrible. Because I know you knew like how bad that was going to feel. And sure enough, it was the worst thing I could have ever done, dude. And when I went into it, by the way, I did go into it eating well, working out every day. I thought, and then I lost it. So, but what's that?
Star Wars Land.
Well, have you been there?
Not to Florida, no.
It's like California. Apparently, they're identical. They just built.
Well, I've been to the one in California, but I haven't been on Rise of Skywalker. Did you go Rise of Skywalker?
I went on Rise of the Resistance.
Or Rise of the Resistance, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Well, first off, let me tell you, Mom said to the kids, Dad is like a child right now. He's like a little boy, dude. I got in there, and I warned the kids the night before. You might see Daddy tear up a little bit. You might see me get a little emotional tomorrow when I get to Star Wars Land. Well, it wasn't my childhood. I mean, I saw the Millennium Falcon. That was cool, but I didn't get the emotion that I thought I'd get. Like, I didn't get, like, I can't believe I'm here. I got like just pure excitement. And the stupidest thing I was the most excited about was buying those stupid Cokes. We walked in, there was a Coca-Cola cart, and they had these little balls. They look like little grenades or little Star Wars Coca-Colas. And I was like, right, everybody's getting one of those. And when you're done, don't throw away the bottle. So I got a couple of those sitting on my bookshelf.
Yeah. I've seen
I'm
those.
a cheap date. I'm
not drinking that crap, so I'm not buying it.
Yeah, no, I get you. I just wanted the container. Mm-hmm. But what I will tell you is that dude, I love that you're such a health nut. You're like, Coke? No, thank you.
I haven't had a Coke in, at this point, it's probably a year and 9 months.
It's so funny you say that. I remember Mac Lake, when I was working with him at one point, he said, oh my gosh, that wasn't sparkling water. They brought me a Sprite by mistake. And I said, oh. And I said, you don't drink that? He goes, I haven't had a soft drink in over 12 years. It was like on Life of Brian, when that guy falls on the hermit who's been silent for all these years. And he's like, ouch. And then he broke his, not connecting. That movie.
I wasn't really a Monty Python fan.
Oh my gosh. You have to, if you read the Bible, and I know you do, you need to watch Life of Brian.
Well, I've seen Life of Brian.
Oh, okay. There we go.
But I'm not, I couldn't tell you. I saw it in high school. So
Well, he's trying to hide, and ironically, he falls on this Bedouin who's been meditating in a pit.
I like
And
when
the
he
guy-
opens the window. That's the only scene I remember.
Oh, that whole movie's funny. So now that I've offended you all, but anyway, Star Wars Land was amazing. I'll get to Pandora. So Star Wars Land was amazing. I went to Rise of the Resistance. Yes, I went to the Millennium Falcon ride. I actually think in many ways that ride was cool. My kids loved it. My
What
wife
position
loved
were
it.
you? What position?
I was a pilot.
Okay. Of course you were. Kids, no, it's going to be me.
Well, I let everybody pick. I didn't care. I wanted my kids to think it was the coolest thing ever. They wanted to be gunners. I don't think Eden did a thing. I see Liberty lean, no, Eden, no. And she's leaning over and grabbing her controls and doing her controls. And anyways, I don't think Andrea knew what to do. So like one of us goes up and the other one goes side to side. So anyways, but Rise of the Resistance now. There were cool parts about that. It's very long. I think the ride lasts like 8-9 minutes. And you start off, you're walking through everything, and then they put you in this like troop transport. And I don't know what you do, but you go out the other side, right? They pretend you're in space and you've landed on another planet, and you go out the other side, and now you're on like this rebel base, or sorry, you get captured. So you get put up in a tractor beam, then they put you down on this planet, and you're in the Empire base now. And I'll tell you, man, when that door opened, I was right next to it, and I was the first one to walk out. And you walk into this room.
You physically walk. It's not.
You physically walk out of this people mover thing that you've been on, and you are in one of the hangars of. I guess no, it wasn't a planet. Sorry, I'm getting it all wrong. You're on like the Death Star or an Imperial Star Destroyer, something stupid like that. And then when you're in there, you can see like the blue with kind of like the shield keeping everyone breathing. And you're in this room full of stormtroopers, and there's AT-ATs, and there's stormtroopers. And dude, I got to tell you, I walk out and because the guy's like in there going, you may exit now, and nobody moves. Because it's like, well, we don't know and he goes, I mean, move now. He's acting like an Empire, officer. So I start moving out, and it's eerie. This room's massive, and there's probably like 100 or 200 stormtroopers just lined up, and you walk into the middle of this room, and there's all these and you actually feel, at least for me, because no one was with, like I took the lead, man. I'm venturing. It felt like, whoa, this is weird. I'm walking out, and they're all moving. They're animatronic, but they made them look like there's really people in suits there. The way that they move and stuff, they shift, and you're in this room surrounded by stormtroopers. Like just rows and rows, and it's pretty epic.
Interesting.
So that was cool. And it was a little freaky. And then after like about, 20, 30 seconds, you're like, okay. And you're just looking at everything, studying it. Then they start moving you through halls. And then cause you get like rescued by the rebels. Then they put you in this little like like this little mover thing that goes, like that little black thing that, that little thing on Death Star that and it goes around. So a little black box. Yeah. They put you one of those that you're driving around. It's bigger, and you're driving in it, and you're going through the halls as you're in the middle of this space battle, and walls are exploding. You go through this room with AT-ATs, and they start training their guns on you, and you got to go somewhere else. And then the coolest part to me was this thing pulls up into the escape pod. Because it's rolling around. There's no tracks or anything. This thing's going through these rooms, and other ones are in there, and you're all trying to escape. The rebels are rescuing you. Kylo Ren's appearing and using the Force, and it's like, going all crooked and stuff. And then the coolest part's the escape pod.
But Kylo Ren is dead.
Yes, he is dead. But he's a Force ghost, and he's blue. No, I'm teasing. No, obviously it's back in the day. And then they put you into this, you pull up into this escape pod, and then you can feel something lock onto your vehicle. And it is the coolest thing, dude. So unexpected. It shows like you're watching. Now it's almost like Star Tours. You've pulled into this thing. You can see the window, and you drop out into space. and it drops you, dude. It's almost like a roller. And it's so shocking and so unexpected. And you drop and you're like, dude, that was the coolest part of the ride to me because I did not expect it. You feel like you've just been dropped out of space trying to get away.
We just ruined it for everybody.
We ruined it for everybody. But, and oh, by the way, on the Matterhorn, there's a space monster. You should look for him. I think he's a Yeti, but you should.
My kids won't go on the Matterhorn yet.
It's funny. I got Eden to go on it and we just had to cover our eyes during that part, but it's scary, dude.
Well, Luke doesn't really like roller coasters. He's like Jamie that way.
Yeah. You know, the Matterhorn's a little freaky, isn't it? I mean, like,
I think he did Space Mountain once, and that was like the last time. He won't even do that.
Space Mountain he won't do?
Yeah, he doesn't do roller coasters.
I don't know why they didn't keep that thing Star Wars. When they did the Star Wars version of that, it was epic. They should have kept that
it wasn't Star Wars Land.
Yes, but they should have kept it that way, man. That was so cool. But anyways, I don't mean to bore you guys with all that, but it was pretty cool. Can I say this? I actually bought too much crap. I had to literally go buy another suitcase. I meant to show up today with Salacious Crumb on my shoulder. I bought Salacious Crumb, dude.
Of course you did.
Of course. I have a Jedi holocron. I have a Yoda staff, dude. I went nuts there. I was like, I need that, and I need that, and I need that.
Did you buy the lightsaber?
I did not, but I did buy a droid. My kids went to build a droid.
We've got the droid.
Yeah. And,
it's just $200 for a lightsaber. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, you and I are the same. So my girls, they wanted a purple droid. So they got a purple droid because they're girls. Sorry. I don't mean that to be sexist. It just is. But then I had... they had sitting in a box, they had R2-D2, and he's all beat up and weathered, and they actually had him, and I'm like, oh, he's rad. Girls, don't you want that? And so my wife goes, I just think you need to get that. So she bought it for me.
Nice. That was
cool. Yeah. Nice. I married up, brother. That's all I can say.
Date night's canceled, but you got yourself a rusty old droid.
Hey, and that's what we're going to do tonight.
That could go so many different directions.
Oh, no. I meant out on the street. We were just going to drive R2-D2 around. That's all, Pete. Calm down, ding, diddly, ding, diddly. They did the best shot, lily. Gotta be nice.
Oh, man.
Oh, Flanders. So, that's it, man.
On my side of things, as you know, I got a big surgery on Monday. I'm not going to say exactly what it is because I'm not ready yet to share that with the world. But I got a big surgery, man. I'm really nervous about it. I'm nervous. I am. I'm going to be under for like 6 to 7 hours. That's a long surgery.
That is a long time, brother.
I could die.
I hope you don't.
Me too.
If it means anything, I hope you don't die, dude.
Hey, if I die, that conversation we had on the phone last night about drawing certain things on a dead man's face, I really want you to do that for me. I really want you to do that.
He has begged me that if he dies, I have to go graffiti his body.
Yeah.
And I told him,
it's got to be an open casket funeral.
I told him, I'm pretty sure I'm doing your funeral. And I have special access to you.
Well, what's funny is if you did my funeral, that would actually be like the once a year time that we see each other, except I wouldn't see you. You would see me.
I could arrange to see you once a year afterwards if it makes you feel any better,
Oh, man. Oh, dude. So I went to
Wait. I do want to say this. If you're listening to this podcast right now, that means Pete's in his surgery if you're listening on Monday when it goes live. So keep him in prayer. Please lift him up in prayer for real.
And my doctors, I really hope they don't show up drunk or anything.
But we're talking about Arthur Fonzarelli the whole time.
So I went for my pre-op appointment last week. I don't have high blood pressure. I was through the roof when I was in the office. I think I was so nervous. Like it was like 170 over 95, and I'm normally 130 over 60.
Yeah.
And I was just like, like she goes, the lady goes, well, look, since you know what your blood pressure is normally and you can take it at home, she goes, when you get home, take it, send me a picture. So I get home and it's back down to 130/52. And I like send it to her. She's like, okay, thanks. And then I've been taking it every day since. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
dude, I was just,
Of course.
out.
They got to expect that, though.
Well, they did.
Sure.
There's actually a condition. You probably know this. You're a nurse. It's called like white coat syndrome or something like that. Like when people go into a doctor's office, it sometimes they're just the type that freak out.
Yep.
And for me, I don't normally when I go into a doctor's office, I think it's because of what I was there for.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, fun times.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's not a problem. I mean, the fact is that, sometimes it's coffee, believe it or not. People have had coffee in the morning. That gives them a false reading, gives them a high blood pressure reading. And that's why sometimes they tell you.
Does it matter if it's like, because I had coffee, but it was hours later that I had
it can affect it for hours. So, really? Yeah. And what they typically do, they'll tell you, like, hey, if it's like a fasting blood test appointment, they'll a lot of times tell you, hey, don't do that. But sometimes when the blood pressure, like if they're doing something for cardio, they'll tell you don't drink coffee that morning.
Interesting.
So I think that would stress me out more. I think not.
I know, right? For you, it would.
Yeah, I got to cut down. Now that I'm actually mastering my appetites in my body, I'm starting to take hold of coffee too. Like, hey, two cups a day. Let's get back down to that.
Yeah. So I will be tomorrow will be my last day in the gym for the year because of the surgery. I won't be able to work out until next year.
Are they shutting down the gym now?
No, it's because of the surgery. Is what I'm saying. My gym's in my backyard.
Oh, that's right.
Because they did shut down all the gyms.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. You were going to the gym for a while, though, right?
Well, but after the last shutdown, I bought my home gym, and I was like, I'm not going back because I'm not wearing a mask when I work out. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. I couldn't. I don't like gyms. I actually do not. I prefer to work out at home. I like the freedom. I don't like driving places to go work out. So like for me, like for running, I run out my door and I'm on the beach in a couple minutes, So for me, I get to pretend I'm Rocky whenever I want. Andrew's Apollo.
Do you go upstairs?
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah. Sometimes I throw motorcycle helmets at statues of myself.
Well,
when I'm upset, as you do. But yeah, man. So, what else, man? Besides life-altering, life-changing surgery, what's going on in your world?
I was going to say something so inappropriate yet so stinking funny.
What is up? It's because we're not getting serious today. It's because I know you're not behaving.
I'm not. No, but let me put it like this. It would be inappropriate for the Church Planner podcast, but it would be really funny in every other situation and not necessarily vulgar.
All your other podcasts. Yeah. This is the only one you probably got to behave for, right?
No, the Thriving Christian Business podcast. And then the From Concealment podcast. Our claim to fame is that we're family friendly. So like every once in a while, I'll let certain vocabulary words that are not appropriate for family slip. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I said ass. I'm sorry. Let me pull that back. Or
you just said it on our podcast.
No, but it's
what's up? Now you got to mark it explicit.
I was using it as an example.
Yes, and in Britain, it is not a bad word, actually.
Exactly. And we're really a British podcast. Most people who listen to us are in the UK.
We're a half British podcast.
Which half? The good half?
People in the UK like us? Well, my first few years I was well liked in Britain, but when I actually started getting down to business and actually like doing well in mission, I kind of got really unpopular. It's kind of a funny thing.
Really?
Yeah, it actually is. Like no joke. That's actually how it worked. I became persona non grata once I started going out coloring outside the lines a bit. So
yeah, I kind of remember that, your story of it anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'd make that crap up. So, hey, Ed Stetzer did the forward for the new church planning book. That was kind of cool. Did I talk about that yet?
Well, yes, you did. You talk about it every chance.
Well, I think I just talked to you about it on the phone.
I think you talked about it on last week's podcast.
Did I? Because I'm pretty impressed with that. That's how
We
you
can
know
tell.
you've arrived. That's how you know you've arrived. That's a right.
I was expecting on that article that Dan Sams, I think it was Dan, help, my pastor is a narcissist was the headline.
Yeah.
Was that you or Dan?
That was Dan.
And then so I put, oh my gosh, can't they just leave me alone? Why do they got to keep writing articles about me? I was expecting something like that from you, but you didn't deliver that, so I had to deliver that.
I'm not as funny these days, man. It's funny. I've been thinking about recently. I think I'm so serious all the time, but I am busier than a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest. Like, no joke, man. I have been crazy busy. And the other day I said to my buddy, December 1st, I'll finish up this one project I've been on with Exponential. And he just looked at me and goes, yeah, right. Sure. You'll have more time then. So
what? Who were you saying that to?
Bo Moffitt.
Oh, I thought you were saying that to someone at Exponential, and they're like, no, this isn't going to end December 1st.
No. I just, I started through the word and I got this, and I told them, hey, they asked me to continue through with this project and until December 1st. And so I did, but man, I have been busy. I mean, so I need Pete just to have the one job and just do that one job and stop doing other stuff. You heard it here. Just need to stop doing too much.
Actually, you just need to win the lotto. So maybe start playing.
That's true, huh? But this is the cool thing. Everything I do for money is what I love. So I can't argue, man. It's not like, I'm totally worth double what I'm getting, but I'm just teasing. No, but I do. And I don't know if you're this way. I don't know if a lot, I just love what I do. I'm in a cool place. It has not always been that way, but
right.
Before, I didn't love cleaning windows. I hated cleaning windows, but I did it so I could plant a church. I didn't love working at Starbucks, but I did it so I could plant a church, and I did it so I could do what I love. And I think that's kind of a big deal, Yeah. But anyways, well, hey man, I guess we're ready. Yeah. We're ready to, when we're doing all these things we love,
hey,
going to Star Wars land.
Okay. Yeah. What about that?
Well, Pete, when you're doing all the things you love, like getting life-altering, life-threatening surgeries, you don't have a lot of time to do your church bookkeeping needs. And
by the way, if everyone's wondering what kind of surgery it is, let's just say on the next episode, I'll be Patricia.
Patrina. Hi, this is Patrina Mitchell and Peyton Jones reminding you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no. I could come up with a whole new tagline for that one. So, all right. So, Pete, what do you do for your IRS compliance and bookkeeping needs?
A great question, Peyton, which is, by the way, a name that could go either way for a girl or a boy. So,
gosh dang you. Yeah, so true.
Did I bring that up? Did I hit a sore spot again?
Yeah, it just came up again. I accidentally, I was ordering swag for a nonprofit, and I said, hey, can I speak to Kelly? She called me earlier, or she emailed me, and I need to put this order in. And Kelly said, no, that's me. And it was a dude. I'm Kelly.
Did you say, just a little awkward. Did you say, well, I'm Peyton, and by the way, I get that all the time too.
I had to say that.
Did he laugh?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It did save me. I need a professional working relationship with this person, and it was like, I think I pulled it out with that. So nice. it has its uses.
Nice.
But anyways,
what you're asking, I go to simplifychurch.com and I go talk to Josh Henry over there, and he hooks me up. He takes care of my IRS compliance, my those end of year tax statements, and we're coming up on the end of the year. They take care of it all for me. Keep me compliant.
They do indeed. And if you go there and you sign up for them, tell them Peyton and Pete sent you.
Or Patrice. Peyton and Patrice.
Patrina. I like Patrina. You should just be Patrina.
Sure, why not? Patrina.
Patina.
I am getting older. There's a little bit of patina on this body.
Well, so, hey, guys, this has been Peyton Jones and Pete Mitchell, dang it, reminding you, if you want to reach the ones nobody's reaching, you need to go where nobody's going. I don't know why I'm doing this. I did that at this isn't the end. Dang
Here
it.
we go.
Hold on.
Great Scott, it's time for this week's topic. And by the way, I'm just going to disappear, guys. So just never mind the fact that I'm no longer a part of this podcast because Peyton didn't want me to interview these guys with him. So
no, and we're going to insert Pete like deep thinking sounds like
every once in a while there's going to be a huh.
All right, without any further ado, here's this week's topic. Hey, church planner, welcome to this portion of the show. As you can see, I am flying solo. I do not have Pete Mitchell with me, but that's cool because he didn't know anything about this. So I am here with Al Buckwhites and Dave Workman, and we're going to be talking about their work at elemental churches. Now, just a little bit of background. I came into contact with these characters a couple years ago. They hunted me down, they sought me out, and they said, hey, we have this thing, and we want to talk to you about it. Now, like you, I get these all the time. I get people hunting me down, but this was different. This was different. And they said, hey, we have a tool, and think of a board game and think of something. It's not a board game, but think of that approach to helping your team develop their vision and define it. And I was like, okay, I'm interested. I'm enough of a nerd to think that's really cool, but I also spend a ton of time helping people learn what their vision is. And whatever I do, it's highly interactive. And this has me. Like, you have my attention now. If you're going to get people not sitting up there just with a whiteboard, but you're going to literally involve people and get them to dig and even have fun in the process, man, I am all about that. So, guys, Al, Dave, welcome on, man. Tell us a little bit about yourselves so we can get to know you.
Dave, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, thanks, Peyton. Thanks for having us on. I love what you do. We're fans, and so it's fun to be able to do this. I like to think of a number of things that I have done formerly. So I traveled for years as a musician and starved to death. Back in the day, playing Christian rock, and that was an oxymoron back then. That's how long ago this was.
Who did you play with, Dave?
Oh, it was in a band that you wouldn't have any idea who. It was a band called Prodigal, and this is in the early 80s. We did 3 vinyl albums before digital. Think about that. And just traveled all over the U.S. and Canada, and thank God my wife supported me, and it was just blast. Saw lots of people come to Jesus. So that was for us.
Prodigal sounds familiar to me, so I got to look you up now.
Oh, it's hilarious.
We Dove Award, by the way, actually. Yeah.
I figured you were waxing humble on this. Okay, all right, and I've got an old picture of you, which I will threaten you and blackmail you with later.
You can't scare me, Peyton. And then sometime during that time, stumbled into this new church that was just starting in a house in the north side of Cincinnati called the Vineyard, and my wife, I was getting ready to go back out on the road, and I said to my wife, why don't you go check this out when I get back home? Tell me what you think. And when I got back home after a couple of weeks, she says, I think you're going to like this. So it was a guy named Steve Sjogren, and it was him and a 12-string guitar and 20 people sitting in a house. And Anita and I, my wife and I, just sat there and cried while they sang these little simple California worship songs that we had never heard of in Cincinnati. Wow. And we were hooked. So a couple of years after that, I stepped down from the band. I just didn't want to be an absentee dad. We had our first baby and got involved in this new little church plant, began leading worship, did that as a volunteer for 4 years, actually every weekend, loved it. and then stepped into the senior pastor role sometime in the middle of all this. So had a great front row seat from watching a church starting in a living room to, I don't know, a little over 6,000 people coming on a weekend. So it was just a great ride. It was so much fun. It was so hard, so challenging. And I went through multiple depressions, but it was great. And so a few years ago, stepped down from that, felt like God said it's time for younger leaders to take it on. And began thinking, all right, God, what do you want me to do? I've been at this place for nearly 30 years. What have I learned from start to finish? Could I do just a brain dump into a book, which I did, called Elemental Leaders? And just what were the things that make churches healthy and effective and actually fun to be with? So after a little bit of time, connected with a few other people, we formed a team and started Elemental Churches, which we basically just designed tools that I wished I would have had when I was a pastor.
Nice. You know what? It's so funny because all the training that I do for planners is exactly that. The training I wished I had had. Man, I love that.
Absolutely. And we were at a place, and now I'll shut up and let Al talk because he was part of the staff in those early days as well. But, we got to a place resource-wise where I could bring in consultants and coaches and so forth and do that. And that was great. And some were good and some were bad, but it was always helpful having an outside perspective for sure. But the average church can't do that. And especially when you're first planning, you just don't have the resources. You're just in survival mode. And so we wanted to create cost-effective tools that actually kind of, I hate to say this, but I had some consultant friends, and I love coaching churches. I love it. But they said, man, you create these tools, you're cutting your legs out from underneath you. And I thought, well, what the heck? Let's go for it. And so the things that I wish I would have had, we built into self-facilitating team-based tools.
Nice. Yeah, that's so important. Al, what about you, man? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, I like Dave said, I went to work at the Vineyard some years ago after experiences, which are kind of interesting, both in church planting as well as in business development. So I developed products, and I hope you guys can't hear my dog. Is he growling?
We can hear your dog, but this is the Church Planner podcast, and those kinds of things don't matter here. Let me tell you, I have a train that goes by. We have pizza. We have kids. We have. It doesn't matter here. Okay. You're good. Yeah.
Right. At some point, if you see me jump out of my chair, then whatever,
Nothing is waxed and polished in the world of church planning, so you're good with our audience. They'll dig your dog. Amen. In fact, it enhances this podcast.
So I've always had it kind of, I would say, not insatiable, but I've always been very curious. And part of the curiosity has led me to a couple things along the way. Number one, when I actually became a Christian in college, started following Jesus. Right away, felt like, hey, I want to give this away. Had an interest and learned about Young Life, so I got involved with Young Life in Naperville, Illinois, way back when. In the course of kind of my college career, I thought, I think I want to do something ministry-related with life. Wasn't sure what I would do, and then because I didn't like church, right? I liked Young Life, but I didn't like church. And so my roommate from college invited me to a church in Palatine, which was Willow Creek in the movie theater in 1978. I put a date on it, a date on me. And what I learned is that trend, or that idea of finding things that were edgy and front running, is something I find my way into no matter what I do. And so that's happened in the ministry world. It's also happened in the business world. It's also happened when I worked for a Fortune 100 company selling. I found my way on innovation teams. And so I've had this ability to, honestly, it's not like I'm great about it, but I've had this ability to sniff out things that I think are interesting and I think really will have significant impact. So one of them was obviously said Willow Creek. Another one was being a part of the Vineyard Cincinnati, which was incredible. I mean, there were so many things we did that were front running way back when. Now part of my life is with Crossroads in Cincinnati. And then I developed, in the course that I developed products. So you can see here, I developed a basketball hoop. I put it here. I just think it's interesting to know that about me in reference to what we're doing. I also in the 80s developed a line of computer accessories and that's over back on the shelf too. But
Wow.
that's to say that when elemental churches went from this idea, which I thought was good, elemental churches, inventory around 4 critical things, but once we stepped into this space around gamifying processes, I mean, it was like, whoa, the light, the light went on, so to speak, for me. And I thought, these tools are so valuable, not only for what Dave said. I was a church planner. I could have used it too. I had some natural ability around team-based processes just because of the way I was wired, but I knew there were lots of people that didn't. And I thought, if we could put these tools in people's hands, we'd make life so much easier for people that want to do ministry better. Yeah.
I 100% agree. And I love the fact that you guys have been connected with movements. Now, just for the audience, you guys know I'm super protective over church planners. And, our sponsorship has been trade for years. Like, just for you guys listening, if you're like, man, this is kind of unusual, you have to know these guys aren't paying me anything. They're not giving me anything. I bought my copy of Focus. Like, literally, the reason I have this on here is because when it comes to church planning, innovation and being led by the Spirit is key. Now, these are 2 Spirit-led guys. I mean, but the innovation is what hooked me, because I hate when leaders go, that works well in the business world. Let's just copy that and let's just do that. I love the fact that when I got that box and I unpacked and I looked at it, I said, a lot of thought and a lot of care and a lot of craft has gone into this. And the thing that I love, and then I'm going to ask you to explain how it works, but the thing I love is that whenever I train teams, to me, it's not, I'm always training in teams. I don't train individuals that well, right? I always think it's not that I don't train, but it's that training, I think, is done best in teams, like when Jesus trained the 12. And I think that's modeled, and that interaction, that peer-to-peer, that's what this gives. But it also, you're going to bond with your team. You're going to have fun. You're going to laugh. It's going to be something that you're able to kind of go on a journey with them. So unpack what Focus is. Tell us what Focus is, and then unpack for us how it works.
Well, let me back up a little bit, because the first thing that we created was an inventory to just kind of measure church health. So that presupposes that the church is kind of past the church planting phase and they're up and running and so forth. And what drives what we do is kind of this idea that there are 4 primary elements that all healthy and effective organizations, churches have. And to us, it was these 4 things. One was integrity. So that had to do with systems and processes and how you get the mission done. We talk about the integrity triangle, which every organization has these 3 points that they have to look at, whether you're a church planter or you're well established. It is the personal leader's integrity, it's the mission integrity, and systems integrity. And those all 3 are connected. And if one of them falls down, because we all know church planners or established pastors who had some sort of blow up, they imploded, and the organization disappeared overnight. So it was integrity, it was passion. How committed is the leader? How committed are the people in the organization, in the church, to the mission? It was servanthood. How outward focused is the church? And then last was imagination. What's their change capacity? What's their ability to innovate, to think differently? We could do this differently. We should be asking what if questions. What if we stop doing this? What if we try doing that? So we created this inventory to take churches through. Out of that inventory, then, we would produce this report saying, hey, this is what you've told us, because we ask for a lot of information, all sorts of data points. They do all sorts of inventories based on those 4 elements and so forth. What we found often was that after recommendations were offered, these poor pastors would just kind of glaze over like, oh my goodness, this feels like more stuff. It's on my plate that I got to figure out how to do. None of the churches we worked with had a good process for strategic planning. So oftentimes it'd be called back to spend a day with their staff or team or whatever it was, their session, their board, to help them through a strategic planning process. Just really simple stuff. Well, that's not cost effective. And the average church can't do that. And certainly church planners couldn't do that. So we spent a year developing a game. If we could gamify this, if we could use action learning principles and gamification, that produces the highest interaction and engagement with a team. All of our stuff is team-based. We're like you, Peyton. I'm way past the great men of God type stuff. It is, if you don't have a team around you, you're not going to survive. And believe it or not, we've worked with churches in the thousands who really don't have a functioning team, which is just crazy. We tell these poor pastors, you're going to die unless you get people in the boat with you who are rowing with you. So we created Focus, and we actually beta tested it with churches all around the country. We had a Pentecostal church, we had a Catholic church in Texas, an independent church in Florida, we had a Baptist church, we had, it was just a great range of folks to help us figure this out. And we got lots of good info back and lots of good input. We tweaked a few things, but it works. My daughter and son-in-law are planting. They're in a church planting mode right now in an urban part of an area in greater Cincinnati. It's right across the river called Covington, Kentucky. And she called me up. My daughter called me up one day. She says, would you spend the day with us? We're just getting started. We have 6 people in our little leadership team. We have 3 house groups. We really haven't launched anything. Would you help us with some strategic planning? I said, no. I'll give you this game, and if you'll let me come and watch you, I'll hold your new baby, and so you can do this thing. And it was fascinating, Peyton, to watch them go through the process.
Wow!
So it works because it forces interaction and engagement, and it helps nullify kind of the dominant voices that can sometimes pop up in teams.
Right.
Because when you're following the rules of a game, everybody has to follow the rules.
Yes.
And that becomes the facilitator for the process.
That's fantastic.
I was going to make a comment too. Part of what I loved about the initial beta test, and then the people that have bought it and used it so far, is that it really represents a broad spectrum of the church, which really is core to our heart, because we're for the whole church, not just for our little thing and our little way of doing it. And what we found is that and this is a funny use of the word, but we think this tool is denominationally agnostic. So it's not locked in.
That's the best kind. So is this podcast. That's fantastic.
So that's been a cool thing. I mean, there's a part of what's funny for folks. I'll show you this. Is that a lot of people are like, I'm a little bit. You mean you don't need to talk to me? I mean, there's a lot of insecurity on real. Just open the box. Yeah, the box is a consultant. I mean, you get this simple instruction sheet, right? Follow that, and then after you do that, this thing here guides you through the whole experience.
Wow.
This is the consultant.
So he's holding up, for those of you listening via podcast, Al is holding up something called the Focus Go Pad, and you go through that thing and it takes you on a journey. Yep. So how might someone who, say there's a church planner, they've got their core team, they're out there in the wide world of church planning right now, COVID-19, pandemic, lockdowns.
God bless them.
I know, right? There's no going back to normal, the new normal, all that jazz, right? And they're going, right, okay. So what worked before is not going to work going forward.
Yeah.
How does this tool help me?
Well, what's fascinating to me, Peyton, is that none of our stuff is prescriptive. So we believe that when God gathers a group of people to launch a church or to drive a church for however, that everything that is needed for that church to be healthy and effective is in that room. And it's all there. It's just the way God puts things
Amen.
together.
Amen.
I just love that. And so So it's not prescriptive. They're going to self-discover what the unique things that God's put in them and a different way of thinking about whatever that is.
Which,
And
by
so,
the way, if I could say, for those of you listening, I could not agree more with what Dave's saying right there, because if you look at the way that Jesus trained, that self-discovery, those aha moments, even to the point where they go, Lord, why do you speak in parables? Why don't you just tell us stuff? And he knew those aha, those that, you know, one of the things Mac Lake, guy's a master trainer in America, and I got to work with him a number of years. Mac used to say this: a truth discovered internally is more transformative than a truth told externally. And so there was this idea that you'd be listening to the parable and you would have your aha moment. We all had that aha moment with the prodigal son, right? We all have these, they're like the old, our grandparents knew the O. Henry stories. So that discovery, learning experts tell us, is the deepest type of learning because it transforms you. It actually, there's an inner click that happens, that light bulb goes on. And so, Dave, I don't mean to interrupt, but I get excited about this. So.
well, we all know that as believers, that Jesus can't really heal or transform the things that we either won't admit to or they're real blind spots for us. And so I think that's why David in the Psalm says, God, shine, look inside of me. See, search me, oh God, and see if there's anything in me that is dysfunctional.
Right.
And as leaders, that becomes absolutely critical. What is it that keeps me back from being everything that God's called me to do? And when those things are self-discovered, that just raises up the ownership level. So when a team discovers, this is what it is that God is driving us toward, or these are the things, the unique gifts that we all have that we bring to the table that would cause us to be a different kind of church in our community or our town or whatever, that's exciting to me.
Wow.
We've
That's
also
amazing.
found that for
Go
church,
ahead, Al.
we've also found that for church planters, sometimes there's work that a church planter will do on their own, right? They'll do some of their own work around this is vision, this is mission, or they'll even be in groups that do that kind of work. But translating that to the team it's a different skill set. It's actually a different experience. And part of what it requires is the ability to get the team involved, and then at some measure, as a leader, lay down stuff that's, maybe some of your golden gooses, so to speak, so you can really create this shared experience, a shared vision that will carry all of you forward. Because again, you only go so far alone. Yeah.
That's so true. That old African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Yeah. We only have about 2 minutes left, but I want to quickly just tell everyone, if you get a chance to check these guys out, for sure, check them out. This box, it's so impressive. Like my buddy runs USAopoly, which is like, if you've ever been to Disneyland, like, you can see they've done like the Simpsons Monopoly, the, Disney Battleship, pairs, like they're huge outside of Hasbro. I think they're like number 2. They're right down the street from a guy runs it. What I was impressed with this set is it's professional. It's like, it's every bit as good as what my buddy would produce. So, it's amazing. Guys, where can they check you out? Where can they go and connect with you?
Elementalchurches.com.
Awesome.
Elementalchurches.com. And what we created on there, on the site, Peyton, is a toolbox. So it just has all sorts of different tools for whatever different stages or things that you're wrestling with at the time. We just brought out a brand new tool called Envision, which actually looks like a let me see if I can. It actually looks like a treasure chest. And it's fascinating because this is more of the why factor. It helps a team discover their core values, what their mission and vision really is. Focus, the game Focus, is almost like a how tool. This is how you do strategic planning, and Vision backs up and says, this is why you're here. This will help you think. And all of them, again, they take about 6 hours to play. These are not, they're not toys.
And just to let you guys know, like, I'll be buying this. Like, I geek out on this stuff. Like, anyone that's combining, like gamification of learning is amazing, right? Like that's super cool. So as you guys know, this isn't kind of normal for me to have someone on with a product, but I care about you guys, and I believe this is probably the best tool out there. And man, I have trained on vision with Mancini and others that are top of the game, and yet I think this is something to watch. I actually, if I had a choice between Vision Frame and this, I would opt towards this simply because it's so highly interactive. I mean, Mancini stuff is great, but this is this just kind of takes it next level for me. So guys, A, I want to thank you for making it. B, I want to thank you. Like I said, I jealously guard my planners, but I think you've put a lot of care, love, and craft into this. And I think this is going to help those of you that, we've been talking in our series on planting about vision, mission, and burden. And I love that you guys are Holy Spirit guys. That means a lot too. You're not just a bunch of business squares doing ministry. I mean, you're a hippie. You got a guitar on your wall, right? So, this is a guy, man, band called Prodigal. And anyways, so you're cool. You're cool, But guys, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Peyton, we're just trying to reach your level. That's all.
Well, I don't think you want to go down that far, brother. Let's not get carried away. All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us. You've been listening to the Church Planner Podcast. Want to thank you. Be sure to go to elementalchurches.com and check these guys out. They will help you. They're great guys. I've gotten to know them a little bit over the years. And thanks again for listening today. And we'll see you next week on the Church Planner Podcast. Reminding you, if you want to reach the ones nobody's reaching, need to go where nobody's going and do what nobody's doing.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Church Planner Podcast with Pete Mitchell and Peyton Jones. We'd love to hear your comments on this episode of the Church Planner Podcast. Visit us online and let us know what you thought at churchplannerpodcast.com. If you subscribe to us via iTunes and have enjoyed the podcast, leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive in iTunes, the more iTunes will promote us to other church planners who would benefit from this show. This podcast is brought to you by the Church Planner Magazine, which is available in the iTunes newsstand or online via churchplannermagazine.com.